Can we call to order? Yes. Great. So welcome to the Brewery District Historic District Commission meeting. Today is July 7th, right? 6th. July 6th, right. Our next business meeting is Thursday, July 7th or 20th at noon in this room. And the next hearing is Thursday, August 3rd at 4 o'clock, also in this room. Could have the staff raise their right arm. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. I do.
Thank you, ladies. Welcome. And I'd like the commissioners to introduce themselves, please.
Matt Leisure. Joe Brewery.
Daniel Mather.
And I'm Cynthia Hunt. So we're happy to see you guys here today. Are there any things that we have to cover as part of the public forum?
Not today.
Okay, all right. Let's go through the minutes. Is that fair? We have the minutes from June attached. Are there any changes? Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Yes.
Any changes? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make the motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
everybody second.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are solid. Thank you very much, madam. Would you like to walk ahead with the staff reports?
Yes. Our first application today is case BD 23-07-001 at 716 South High Street. The proposed work is to review the placement of an existing freestanding smoker, which is 6 feet by 16 feet at the rear of the property. The step analysis is that this application is in response to a code violation following a 311 complaint. The applicant is proposing 3 location options for a freestanding smoker. The smoker is currently located at option number 1, which you can see on the screen. HBO staff does not support location option number 1 due to its proximity to the non-accessible parking space. And HBO staff deems both locations number 2 and number 3 to be more appropriate, as they do not block utility boxes, pathways, or accessible parking. Staff recommends approval of application BD 23-07-001 with the following conditions: that the smoker shall be moved to be located in either location option number 2 or location option number 3. And the basis for this recommendation is City Code Section 3116.13, standards for site improvements.
Cool. Do you have any further comments?
At this time.
Okay. Is there someone here from would you guys like to come up and speak? We're happy you could join us today. Or can you raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, great. Would you like to introduce yourselves for the record, please?
Sure. Mary Deach as the architect on the project.
James Garlock, a sous chef.
Okay, great. I don't think we've had a sous chef before. Many architects, no sous chef. Okay, would you guys like to walk us through any comments that you have about placement or activity?
The placement, I think we were finding the other 2 options acceptable. So if that's approved by staff, I think that was fine. As far as use goes, I think I would let JJ speak to that if there's any.
Do you have a preference for one of the other 2 options, or?
There's one that's on our patio, and in the future, if we have seating, it might impede seating, which is option 3.
Okay,
So option 2 is probably more preferred.
you prefer option 2. Okay. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to share? Do any of the commissioners have questions they would like to address to the applicants?
No.
Would we like to make a recommendation? Subject of much passion.
It's gonna be really good. Yeah.
That's a good thing, because
Yes.
normally it's a lot more questions. Do we want to go ahead and recommend just the one option, option 2, that they,
So just to clarify, option 2.
or, yeah, option 3 is what you prefer? Yeah,
2.
2, all right.
So option 3 is on your patio space, so it would preclude seating, basically. Option 3 is visible from the street, but it's not on your patio. Am I correct in that, or is that incorrect?
Option 3 is on the patio.
Right, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Option 2 is visible from the street, but not on the patio.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so that's the trade-off.
Do we feel strongly?
Is option 2 along any sort of egress pathways?
The arrows are indicating the ADA pathways on there, so it would not block
So
the ADA path.
It does block it or it does
It
not?
does not.
Okay,
It's currently, so option 2 is currently there's food trucks that come to Antiques on High on a regular basis, and that's where they park is in option 2. And this is kind of something that is going to replace potentially the food truck.
do they know
And-
that?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, it's the same owner
Alright.
of the building,
Okay.
but that Agni would start providing food to Antiques on High, possibly with the smoker, so. But a food truck could also still fit behind option 2, behind the smoker, along the same wall.
So I like the idea of having patio seating personally, so.
agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, we could offer, in my mind, we could say, it seems like people are comfortable, we could say 2 or 3, or we could just split it and say 2, given that's their preference and it probably ours.
I'm okay with either.
Okay, we want to say either, we want to restrict it to,
I think either is perfectly.
okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion
It's Daniel's motion, Derek,
to
good.
recommend either option 2 or 3.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate the feedback and we appreciate you coming in. Okay. Back to you, Ms. Sophie.
Second application is BD 23-07-002 at 605 South Front Street. This is an application for signage to install one non-illuminated single-faced aluminum wall sign. The dimensions would be 1 foot and 3.5 inches by 14 feet. The font style on side should be 12 inches tall. The colors will be blue, white, and aqua. And the materials are aluminum, acrylic lattice, and the graphics of the logo face will be applied using a high performance vinyl on acrylic. The staff analysis is that the wall sign above the window on the facade is supported by HBO staff as presented, as the design does not disturb or alter any architectural elements. The proposed wall sign should be fixed into mortar joints. Staff requested information surrounding the changing of the fixture above the door from a metal element to a small white light, which has not been provided at this time. Staff also requested an additional application for the temporary signage that is currently displayed outside of the premises, and this has also not been provided at this time. Staff recommends approval of application BD 23-07-002 as submitted, with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HBO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate.
When did you request the additional information?
I believe that's 2 weeks.
Has the applicant been in touch with you about it at all?
I was told that the application for the temporary signage had been in last week, but I haven't received it as of right now.
Is there anybody in the audience who's here for this particular circumstance?
I was in like,
Come on up.
I'm kind of still in here, so
No problem.
I'll go to my way through here.
Before you begin to speak, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Would you like to introduce yourself and your affiliation, so for the record?
I'm Marcy White. I'm the Director of Real Estate for Goodwill
Director of what?
Real Estate.
Okay, great.
So, and it's our marketing department that's working through this, but she happens to be on vacation as well as our sign vendor. So here I am.
Okay, good.
I'm not sure about the other information that was requested. The light above the door has nothing to do with us. It was already there. It's an architectural element of the building, so I would suggest you talk to Grange, as the building owner, about what that is or why it's there. It's like a tiny little security light above the door in the middle, so I'm not sure what that's about, but we don't know anything about it. We had originally wanted to put our sign above the door, which would make sense for us, but the architectural elements, we were advised not to take down or to move up because it went into a decorative stone
It
piece there.
interrupted the architectural
Yeah.
elements of the building. Okay.
So, we thought we could do the same kind of sign on the other side of the door of across those windows. So, the hardship for us is the parking's across the street. These are students that are coming, it's not the same employees coming every day. So they have to get across the street and down into that area where our location of our space is. But what they're doing is they're walking around the building because our address is Front Street. So they're going into other tenant spaces asking if it's Goodwill, so where new neighbors are not all that happy with us at the moment. So we would like to be able to put this sign over that second window in order to,
So you're asking for a change to your application?
no, I don't,
Is that where it's at?
No, the currently proposed sign is above the window rather than the door.
Right. Okay,
so. That's what we're
I
here.
think what you heard is the staff supports it except for the missing components. So how do we resolve that issue?
Okay, can you repeat that again? What are you missing?
The application for the temporary signage that is currently displayed outside of the,
On the fence up in front? Well, I don't know about that. We can take it down. I mean, if that would work for people just to get this approved and get it, we could get it ordered and get our real sign up. If you'd be okay with that. But the small light, we just don't know anything about, so I would recommend that we,
What's the protocol for that? If the signer, the person requesting the sign is not on the building and therefore does not control the lighting, do we still expect them to deal with the owner?
I think so.
I think so too.
So typically, if it's part of a tenant space, it has been, we could probably talk about the light because there might be something else we can do. We might have to refer it to a different department.
To get a variance is what you're thinking? Or
Not to get a variant, but to get it dealt with.
dealt with, what does that mean?
Yeah, so with the light, we could contact code enforcement because it was replaced without a certificate of appropriateness.
Uh-huh.
And if that's if that goes under the building owner, then they'll get that notice. Because we've noticed it, it's something that's done without approval, so.
Is that something, is that our typical path for a situation like that?
We typically like to work with the applicants, so since it's part of this storefront,
Right,
that's our first course of action.
right.
And we prefer to do that to work with.
That's our strong preference as opposed to sending the owner to code court. So we are
I
saying,
mean, I
because
can ask them why they would have changed the light out without, but it was done before we moved in, so.
is that what we want from them? That why they changed the layout, or do we want them to put an approved?
We need them to put in an application.
Okay,
So it's categorically separate from this application.
It could be.
And same with the temporary signage.
The temporary signage should have had approval before it went up. If the commission's okay with it just being taken down to resolve it, I'll default to the commission.
I think we all are okay
Okay.
with that. But they have to call you back and say, we have now taken it down, so you have noticed that that's happened.
If we put it as a contingency as part of the motion,
Right.
that could also work as well.
Right, that's what I'm
Take it
thinking.
down tomorrow, it's no problem.
Just, you need to call them and say it's done, okay, because we will make the motion contingent on that.
Okay.
So so the lighting though, I'm confused. Do we make it a separate issue or do we, which is what we do if we send it to the code enforcement guys, right?
Can we make a contingent that they reach out to the reservation staff to?
How do we resolve it is the question.
Well, you could do that the applicant is to work with the historic preservation staff.
Okay,
And then that could come in a separate application, either from you or from the building owner, and we'd work through it that
but
way.
we are wanting them to get a certificate or we're wanting them to replace it with an approved light?
We're wanting them to get a certificate, and that might mean either removing it, putting it back as it was, or replacing it with something, which we might need to do a further dive into.
Okay, so you guys would support approval contingent on removing the sign and notifying you and also working with you directly to determine how to get to the owner about the light.
Yeah, or how to handle the light, which if there's something that comes up with a possible replacement, it might come back here, but that's still them working with us.
Okay.
And just if your sign is taking a long time to get the permanent sign, you can always reapply to have the temporary sign put back up, right? So just.
Okay. But in terms of, not to be, but that small light we're discussing, I mean, I can bring it to their attention, but I have absolutely no control of whether they want to contact you or change it or fill out an application or anything else,
But
so.
you're working with these guys and you're saying to them, they, you know, I've talked to them, they're gonna reach out to you or they're not gonna reach out to you, and then work with them to determine the next steps. If they don't reach out, then these guys will probably go the code enforcement route.
Okay, but it still wouldn't hamper us getting, go
You're
ahead and
getting-
order our sign.
You could order it, but you can't put it up till we resolve this contingency. Is that fair?
Well, if we do it contingent on their working with us.
Then we could just make that happen. So you can probably order it,
Okay.
is what we're saying.
And I can certainly give you contact of the person who would be responsible for making those decisions, as opposed to waiting for them to call you as well. Okay, all right.
So are we comfortable with that? Okay. Daniel, I think someone other than you can create this motion.
I think that's it.
Who would like to do the motion? Go, yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve the sign as noted, contingent upon the removal of the temporary sign and contingent upon the applicant working with the Resource Commission to remove and replace the temporary lighting
Or get a certificate
or
of,
get a certificate.
right, for the temporary lighting. And I think it's permanent lighting, that's the problem, right?
Well, it was done without approval.
Right. Or get approved. Do you guys have that? Is that enough, or do we need to restate it?
I think that would be totally good.
I'm sorry?
I think that would be okay.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to make sure that the feedback loop to you saying the sign is down happens.
Yes.
So the motion has to say and communicate back to you that the sign is down. Okay. With that? Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. Thank you. Good luck with your sign. Thank you. Nice pinch hit, John.
Yeah.
Adam?
Okay, so the next two, I'm gonna run through, both separate ones, because it's the same thing. This is application BD 23-07-004, it's the Jones Steel property. They're requesting a request for action for the variance recommendation request. It is a use variance to permit 107 total dwelling units in an F district. Variance to permit 62 parking spaces, a reduction of 99 spaces. A variance to preserve existing conditions along Front Street and along Whittier Street. And to vary the size of the rectangular parking space from 9 by 18 to 8 feet and 6 inches by 18. So the staff analysis, the following is taken from the June 1st, 2023 Brewery District Commission unapproved meeting minutes. Commissioners noticed that the use variances are both technical variances that will be required to allow for the proposal to occur and to legitimize existing conditions. Commissioners noted that the variance to the parking size is a common condition in urban areas. Commissioners also noted that the reduction of parking is substantial, so the commission would need to be assured that there is enough parking in the neighborhood, which is not robust with parking options. The commission acknowledged that the applicant is restricted by the original building, but encouraged the applicant to work on increasing the number of parking spaces available. Commissioners asked how much additional parking could be gained from the proposed agreement with the city for parking on the south side of the property. Commissioners noted that it is important to know how many more potential parking spaces will be able to be used. For example, how many spaces could come from on-street parking on the street. Commissioners asked to see the use agreement for parking on the south side of the property when the applicant returns for a request for action on these variances. The commission requested that the applicant bring examples of other parking ratios in urban context so they have benchmark figures. And the commission also requested a document showing the available on-street parking within a 1-block radius of the property. The variances being discussed today, the same list as were heard conceptually at the June 1st hearing. The materials requested by the commission and staff went to be received, but we did receive a document showing the available on-street parking within 1 block.
So not all of them, but one.
Not all of them, but we do have that. The applicant informed staff that they have asked the city to expedite the use agreement and a parking review, but that hasn't been provided at this time. So the staff recommendation for this is to continue the application to allow the applicant time to gather the information requested by the commission. And then we have our conceptual review of the modifications of previously submitted materials. This is BD 23-07-004. And the following is taken from the May 4th Brewery District Commission meeting minutes. Commissioner Mather noted that the proposal is a denser development compared to what is in the area, so recommended that the new build should have as little visual noise as possible in order to let the Jones Hill building be the showpiece of the development. Commissioners noted that the sketchup model quality makes the design appear very busy, while the colored rendering seems less so. However, the overhanging trellises still appear to be busy to some commissioners. Commissioners were positive about the massing changes in general, but encouraged the applicant to return with incremental changes, such as site improvements and materials as the process moves forward, and it will be important to ensure that the drawings are detailed enough that the commission can review them. Commissioners agree that the industrial green color makes the design appear softer and emphasizes the brick in a good way. Commissioners would like to see the roof pitch on the south side of the property preserved and responded positively to capping the parapet with stone. Commissioners would like to see higher quality renderings as the applicant develops a visual presentation that show how the design and materials, for example, the glazing, feels and looks from Front Street, as they are struggling to understand that with the massing type of model. Commissioner Barati noted that corner balconies work better than the projecting balconies in the north face of the proposal. Commissioner Mather requested site sections that show the context of the street to see the relationship between the entry of the garage and the surrounding houses. And Commissioner Barati would like to see a rendering of the rear stairwell on the tower that shows materiality and the relationships of the tower. The updated renderings show the roof pitch on the south side of the property preserved and capped with stone, with a glazed guardrail set behind it in response to Commissioner comments. The updated renderings show the rail assist with a free overhang in response to comments about some of the visual noise from the support posts. The applicant provides a rendering of the rear stairwell that shows the portion of the tower that will be glazed. The renderings indicate the materiality of the structure, however, actual materials have yet to be specified. And the applicant provided an updated parking plan, which shows an increase from 60 to 62 parking spaces, with 3 of those being accessible spaces. And we also have a new vision triangle study that was provided this morning as well. The staff recommendation is that the commissioners should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future meeting. And the basis for these recommendations are City Code Section 3116.11, standards for alteration, 3116.12, standards for new construction, 3116.13, standards for site improvements, the Brewery District Guidelines, design considerations.
Thank you, gentlemen. Would you like to join us?
Love to.
Would you like additional chairs?
I'm gonna make a suggestion to the chair, and I think we'll be able to do it
Okay.
like kind of Noah's Ark style, 2 at a time.
Okay. All right, but everyone who's going to talk, raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Could you introduce yourself each individually with your role on the proposal and for the record?
I'm Doug Irvin, the Director of Planning and Development for the Stonehenge Company, and we're the developer.
Thank you.
Mr. Maniaci with Taft, Stettinius and Hollister, the attorney for the applicant.
Thank you.
John Lyman with MA Design. Take the record.
Andrew Gardner with B3 Companies, civil engineer.
Thank you.
Go
ahead.
Can I speak? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. Since we kind of have 2 tranches here on the agenda, I thought first we could deal with the council variance.
Sure.
So I have my esteemed counselor and colleague, Mr. Maniaci, with me, because he speaks all of the code variance language far better than I. And then we can address those. I do want to start with 2 things, though. First off, I do apologize for getting some information to you late. In order for the parameters of our parking study to be established by this, had to be established by the city. And by the time that was established and then Carpenter Barty did the work, I got that work yesterday evening. So I forwarded it, and I understand that's really
It
fast.
just means that I and possibly others have not had time to really review it.
I understand that.
So,
But I just wanted to tell you, it wasn't as though I was holding on to it. And also the vision triangle, I don't want to confuse that issue because we really spent a lot of time on that. It was just as part of our council variance application, transportation came back and said, hey, given what you're doing right now, they just have to comply and check their boxes. That's why you're getting a new vision triangle exhibit, okay? It was just at the request of Mr. Bleichman.
Are there changes to the vision triangle?
I'm sorry?
Are there changes to the vision triangle?
No.
No, I mean, they comply, and the drive changed from the last time.
So yes, so the changes related to the driveway changing. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
But I just didn't want to go down that rabbit hole again. So with that being said, I'm going to defer to Mr. Maniaci to explain council variance aspects.
Well, again, it's a little, I can understand for you, you'd like to have the information, and we'd like to have the information ourselves. We both worked different angles within the city to say, hey, can you get like a use agreement, for example, but it seems like getting the parameters for the study took precedence, and we're disappointed to not have that for you today. We also have some, from the further analysis that we've done that's been generated by, our need to respond to zoning and not necessarily things that are, purely variance related. It's given us some more information on the, on the parcel, and we have 2 additional variances, and I can understand you're saying, hey, this is not the best time to come up and say, we've got 2 more variances. I can tell you that those variances are exclusively related to preserving site conditions. So I'd like to at least.
That's the fourth, the third and the fourth items on the list?
No, they aren't on the, I don't think they're on your list. I'm just going by my,
So we don't have those yet in our conceptual review? Or we do?
No, you have the site.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variance requests. Are there
Yes.
more?
Yes, there are, but they are not because of a change in the site.
But the point is, we don't have them to look at.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So all I expect to do is mention them, and I can understand you say, that's great you mentioned them, but I don't have enough information.
Great might not have been the word I'd use, but
Well,
appreciate the information.
I'm trying to put a positive spin on it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Obviously, the use variance is, clearly what we're all excited about to repurpose this property. The parking, we don't have all the information that we like. We do know that this is, not an uncommon request in an urban area. We hope to have more information for you.
I'm happy if you wish to walk through each item that you didn't bring, but if you want to tell us about what you did probably bring and what the changes are and show us that, and then we'll probably have staff walk through and identify the things that you didn't bring and just put that on the list for next time. Does that
Okay,
make
so,
sense?
yeah, so I'm just gonna go through first I'll do the variances that's already been identified, or if you don't even, if you think it's duplicative, that's fine.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay, so obviously, we want to we want to have 62 parking spaces.
Yeah, congratulations on finding the 2 extra spaces.
That was harder to think. Sure.
I'm sure it was hard.
That's correct. And then we have, obviously we want to preserve existing conditions along Front Street, which is a 40-foot minimum setback. And so we have asked our variance to simply allow what is there to remain there because it's so, integral to the development plan. The same type of variance along Whittier Street, where 25 feet would be required, to permit that.
What does it show now? I don't remember.
With, John, what is because I don't know if it's even the entire way.
East side of the building?
South side of
Whittier.
South.
South side is practically on the property line.
Okay.
Close to 0.
You concur with that, Andy?
Yes.
It's within 5 feet, I know.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I should say this, I am totally comfortable with you guys asking questions along the way as well. All right, go ahead.
Then we've asked for internally this size of the parking spaces to be slightly contracted, and over the course of a large space that allows a little bit more room, and we don't see that as being a problem. The two variances that we've discovered that aren't in your materials are to first there's a setback along Bank Street. Who's surprised that Bank Street would raise its head one more time to bedevil all of us, but we are to get existing conditions grandfathered, we need a variance.
What is the classic standard for Bank Street?
This for Bank Street, 25 feet would be
Oh,
required.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it's again, very,
Even though we think it resembles an alley if it
Yeah.
were to be paved,
Right.
it technically is a street in the eyes of the
I
city.
just was curious as to what the actual number was. Good.
yeah. Okay. And then one that is, we're just mentioning out of caution, and there's still a little bit of interpretation on that, is from the Whittier Street side, our vertical study shows that the tower roof is 64 feet 9 inches. We're in a 60-foot, district. There is a outcropping for the tower exhaust that goes to 75 foot 9¼ inches. So we'd be asking to, a general variance. To
But again, it's a grandfathering of what already exists.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess I can say, we're saying I don't think there's anything substantively new from what we originally had.
So the variants 3 and 4 on the list and the 2 that you're speaking about are just allowing the existing structures to meet your current code, essentially be in compliance.
Yes, to legitimize existing site conditions.
Why do you say existing historic structures?
Yes.
We certainly don't want to move a brick there.
So we're down to 1, 2, and 5 on the list, which is, we had already said parking spaces we thought were reasonable. Our real issue is the 99, missing 99 parking options, right? And how we're going to recover for that.
That's correct. And again, you received this study late, and I would encourage you to review it.
You can walk us through the highlights if you want.
Well, sure.
Okay.
You
Is that
happen
good?
to have the, just go to the very end.
What'd you say?
There you go.
Jonathan.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
I just wanted to clarify, variance request items.
Okay.
On the back street setback, there is the issue of the existing building. It is what it is. But that leg of our new building does encroach in that 25-foot setback as well. So I just want to be clear that there's an existing condition and a new condition.
Right, right. Okay.
Just
We need to get the point.
Okay.
Are you?
There we go. This is the meat of it, because all those pages before that look like microfiche, that is Carpenter Marty documenting every available parking spot within the area that was defined for us by the city. And our area got really small because there is nothing west of us other than railroad tracks. I mean, there aren't opportunities there. So it is a bit of a smaller area than Carpenter Marty typically deals with in an urban context, because they usually get to do a full circle. We're kind of doing a half moon or a half circle. So nonetheless, as you can see, Friday morning and Friday evening are the times in which we would barely exceed 100% as far as available off-street parking. And these are all within reasonable locales. And
To
you can,
get to the 99 missing, or the 99, the shortfall of 99?
I'm sorry?
To get to the shortfall of 99 spaces?
Yes. So with that, and there's all kinds of methodology that they go through as far as, percentages and weightings and so forth. But what I just dialed down to was that last column, which is future occupancy at 100%.
Right.
That's the project demand. Now, as Jim intimated in his remarks, and I mentioned to you last month, we are working with the city. I believe I can pick up 12 to 14 spaces south of our building on Whittier, but what we have to work through is transportation will not allow me access on the front street because of how close we are to the intersection. So they don't want any interference at that point. So I have to
AKA
find.
no parking there.
I'm sorry?
AKA no parking there, is what I think you just said.
No, I think I can park, I just can't exit there.
Okay,
So that's what we're working through the transportation division on, is trying to assure them. And also at the same time, though, I have to treat that street in such a way that, currently we have breakaway bollards, right, Andy? So because there is a fire access lane that runs west of us that goes to, the apartment community to our north. So,
I want to go back to the Front Street question.
sure.
Your entrance and exit are on Front Street now. Are you still talking to them about the exit on Front Street? Is that what
No,
you're
I'm
saying?
talking about the old part of Whittier, south of the warehouse and the tower.
Okay,
That right now, I cannot use as any access point. That's where I want to park. So they want to make sure I don't have people pulling out onto front at that point.
okay,
Because all along, as you'll recall, their instruction to us is push your access points as far as north possible to get away from the intersection. The last thing they're going to do is give me an access point right at the intersection. So we're working through that. I am confident that I'm going to pick up those spaces.
does,
How will those be accessed? If
We're going to have to come through our garage on the back.
So into and out of that garage.
Yes.
does,
Not easy, but
does this study describe where the 99 are picked up?
it is. It's in all of the,
All right,
all the data before that, which is voluminous.
happy to look at it. You don't need to go back, it's fine.
No, but there's a lot, and they went through and also, I have forwarded the video links, and I will forward that to Sophie as well, because as part of the study, they have to take video to, back up their findings and their counts. So that's being submitted to the transportation group and everyone as well. I just got those video links with it, 30 minutes before I walked in the screen. So I'm going to forward those along, and I will get those to Sophie as well.
So just to clarify this, so the 88 spaces, that's the future occupancy, 100% future demand on the very right side.
On that model, yes.
Okay, so assuming that there's 88 cars out on the street, okay. And then
Where's the 88? I'm seeing 89.
upper left.
Okay, great. Total request variance. All right, I thought it was 99.
With the variance in total is we're 151 minus 60,
It's a 99 parking space reduction.
it's on 99. We picked up the two.
Permit 62 parking spaces.
Yeah, the materials we have say 62 and a reduction of 99 for the variance.
Yeah, I believe that actually the actual count is 142.
So maybe our materials are not updated?
I think there might be we went back and forth with the city and counting parking spaces. And I do believe, let me see. Let me get my glasses, I'm looking here. You're correct. So, with that number, I will verify with Carpenter Marty why they're using that number.
That'd be great.
Like I said, reviewing this simultaneous with your review. Because I actually gave them, I remember looking at the site compliance plan, and when I told them the exact numbers, because they wanted me to verify that. And I don't know if there is some dilution that goes through with the parameters with the parking office and the consultant. I don't know if and that may be how they got to that, because I did give them these numbers.
You could find that out sooner or later, so we know whether it makes sense to review what we already received or wait till we get a revised version. That would be helpful.
Sure. Right. Absolutely.
Great, awesome. Did anyone have a chance to really review it yet? And do we have other questions?
I have a really dumb question.
Love those.
It seems like on the workday, Friday, that the demand for parking is higher. And so that would seem to indicate that the general area is a area of work as opposed to residences. And that your development is obviously residences, so there would be some sort of mismatch between uses. And I'm wondering if that's somehow baked into the study, that your development would put a demand on parking on Saturday when the demand is generally less in the area currently? That makes sense?
No, I understand what you're saying and your reasoning for that. And I in turn found that odd that Friday was our spike and not having gone through everywhere they looked to try to figure out if there is some anomaly that's triggering that.
Right.
Because I'm with you, I would have thought we would have had that, that I could offset day traffic because my folks come home at night and that's when they're looking for a spot.
Right.
And those numbers, I need to understand how they mesh.
I guess the other question I have is, it's a holiday weekend, you know, maybe there's some correlation with.
This has been over the last week.
No, they actually did this work, let me see if I have dates.
Because it's showing the first.
Oh, you're right, it is. I didn't even catch that.
They did this, yeah, on 6/30, June 30th.
I'm just wondering if you do it another weekend, that's not backing up to the 4th of July where people travel.
Well, clearly, actually, I will tell you that the Durham Village emptied out for the entire weekend starting Thursday. There's nobody around. So we're thinking, you're thinking, and I think that could be true, that it's the choice of the weekend is not
Yeah.
does not relate to reality.
Right.
Sorry.
I was there, it was a lot of them.
I was stunned at how empty Durham Village was. I think.
Leave the line at the brown bag, it was incredible. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough. That's
No,
not
yeah,
feedback, but it's real.
And I guess in with this, I mean, I'm presenting this, I didn't prepare it, the methodology is beyond me. I will get you those answers.
And or so have them come next week if they feel like what they've prepared is exactly and perfectly representative. Be happy to ask them the questions if that would help you.
Okay, I will figure out how that date got picked. Okay, any other questions about the parking?
Dumb or not dumb, that'd be great.
I only have done.
Anything else, Phil?
No, I think, yeah, those are the two sticking points.
It's
And just to clarify, if you do get the extra spaces on site, then that requested variance,
Yep.
it's gonna stay the same, but you would have more available parking that is not a part of this study. Is that
Right,
accurate?
that's correct.
Okay.
And what I will also state is, and I said this when I was here last month, and I will say this forever, and that is, it is in our best interest to identify as
We
much
agree.
parking as I can
We get that.
anywhere, long-term viability, regardless of what a variance says I can do.
We get that, we just are, that's the area that at least I was most concerned about.
So there's three parts to this. There's what you're parking on site per the requested variance, plus what is potentially available on street, which is this, plus what may be available that we can't really
There's some
consider.
contracted capability.
Right, but that could lessen,
Mitigate.
yeah,
Right.
but we can't really consider that yet because
Could we consider though, if they had a written agreement?
I mean, I think,
Right, if I have the agreement, but,
right.
and also perfect storm, holidays are not the best time to really push people to move it.
And let me be clear from this side, we want you to be successful.
I understand that.
Okay.
But yeah, the timing was tricky with this exact meeting to get that study done, so we understand
We're
that.
supportive.
Yeah.
Any other questions relates to our variance?
I would like though, Sophie, to walk through, there's the two new variances from today. There's making sure we have the most updated materials, 99, 88, 62, 60, whatever is appropriate. And then there are a set of things we asked for, some of which we have, some of which we don't. Can you please do the cross-reference to make sure that anything we don't have is on our recommendation as part of the motion
Yes.
for these guys for next time, so we can be really clear about what we're asking for. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay,
Of course.
cool. So is that all right?
Yes.
That's great, because actually, it wasn't until I reviewed the minutes that I didn't recall us talking about a use agreement. But then when I got the minutes and read it, I saw that, so that was new to me after reading the minutes, not after I walked out of the room.
We gave you a long list last time, so it doesn't surprise me. So,
Okay.
great. Anything else we want to talk about, gentlemen? Okay, thank you. You had an easy day.
Are you against the list?
No, I was gonna have her put it in the minutes. Do you want to talk through it now?
Good. If it'd be great if you could just hit it real fast.
Yes. and
Just
we
give me
do-
my cliff notes.
We do need a motion to continue.
Okay.
Because this is not conceptual, but they do have a conceptual design.
Right. For this one, we need a motion to continue.
Yes.
Okay.
So what we don't have is the use agreement for the parking and the examples of other parking ratios that will come through. But we do, I believe this is the one block radius parking study.
And we'll need an updated study
Yes, we need-
based on the 99 versus the 88,
yes,
or some explanation. And also based on the holiday weekend question. We either need some kind of defense from the firm saying why this is valid, or the ability to ask some questions, or having them redo it for another weekend. I know that's painful. One of those things I think has to be part of the conversation. What am I missing?
Do we want a site plan showing where the parking radius is taken?
That maybe in the thingy.
They're all listed here.
Yeah. Anything else? And if their report's gonna change, let us know sooner rather than later, so we don't spend the time on this one, we just wait.
That report's gonna change, you're gonna have a.
Then we'll wait for the next one to review.
Okay.
Okay, great. And we also definitely understand holiday weekend and definitely understand you just got materials and we're all trying to row in the same direction. How's that? Great. Anything else?
just need the motion and a vote.
Would like to move, you haven't moved yet.
Make a motion to continue this application.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So continued. Thank you all.
You want to move to the conceptual of the building now?
Absolutely.
Drive in, you like to come up? Sure. Mr. Berger, you want to come up or are you? Okay. Good. Actually, if you want to go, I think you're all right. Sure. Yeah, you're on. I will. I think you're all right.
Cool. So I think we've already sworn everybody in. We're happy to hear about what you've brought. Would you like to walk us through?
Well, one thing I do want to
Yes.
clarify before you think
And are there any preliminary comments?
before you think I ignored you again. We actually, I've been working with MKSK on the entrance
Right.
and the relationship to the house to the north. And again, I can only make things move so fast. So that's coming.
Okay,
We
good,
heard you
good.
and we're working on it.
Can't wait to see it.
Okay, well, thank you again for your time, and certainly looking forward to your feedback here. And you can consider this a progress. We're still developing the design of the building. We have advanced the building in terms of getting it into actual Revit model, so everything's to scale and everything's accurate at this point.
Great.
Probably the biggest change that we made from our last conversation about the design of the building was really that south end. If you recall, originally we had more of a skeleton type design with more verticals and horizontals on that southern end to accentuate the step backs that we're doing on each floor level. So we looked at a couple different things and we actually kind of landed on the simplified version, which is really trying to emphasize the horizontal of the building. You know, I know it's hard to see in plan here, but as you recall, the warehouse angle wall is one direction. We opposed that at that angle on that first level, and then we're stepping back on the 3 floors above that. So we felt that it would be a really strong element to highlight that angle of the building and also emphasize the horizontality of the building. We've thrown some ideas around lighting. We haven't gotten a lighting designer involved at this point, but I think there's some cool opportunities, both from an interior lighting perspective and an exterior architectural lighting perspective, and how we can make that end of the building really glow. You know, one of the things that we've probably gone above and beyond in, I'll say, normal market rate condition of a product is we're really adding a lot more glass in this than what we would typically add in there. But this is such an iconic corner. It's such a cool opportunity with that amenity space that we'd be building inside the footprint of the warehouse space there at that south end. And also, if you recall, that that would be the southeastern corner of the building on floors 2, 3, 4. Or actually 2 and 3, I'm sorry, that's a 2-story space in the clubhouse amenity type space. And then the 3rd floor and the top floor are residences. So there is some volume in there that we can accentuate from an architectural lighting perspective. Certainly from the outside, there's great opportunity to do something cool there. And also on the top, those penthouse units as, I mean, I think the way that those things are set back and the size of those balconies and the fact that they're very horizontal as well, they're not just pedestals, they're pretty much the whole unit, really says a lot to that top level and can be made something really cool. The things that we're still continuing to look at is on that eastern side is the actual balcony detailing in terms of the floor framing balcony. I think the commitment is there from the ownership perspective that they want to use glass guardrails. So the other half of that design with those balconies is how do we make that structure as thin as possible? So we really kind of make that go away as much as possible. The other end of the building, which would be the northeast corner, is pretty much the same as what we have talked about, as Doug mentioned. MKSK started to develop some different concept studies there. There is an interaction definitely between the existing building to the north and what we're doing there. If you can recall in your mind, there's those steps along the south side of that existing building that come all the way down to the sidewalk. And we obviously feel, there's something important that needs to be done there, and that's what's currently in progress.
It looks like you're sloping your the area next to your wall to match with or is that part of their property?
That's part of their property is really only say 5 feet off of their wall. So
Right.
in that ballpark, and that's
Does
where
that-
the sidewalk
Does
goes
that
through there.
property go up like that now?
No, that front, if you're talking about that green area right at the very front, that's not quite accurate. That's the area that we have to develop.
That's what I.
Because their sidewalk, which goes to the property line, comes all the way down to the to the right of way sidewalk. So it's how do we get that sidewalk of the existing building to integrate in with our entry plaza? Because they do literally touch.
But it's a couple of feet drop
Yeah.
there.
We are gonna end up having to have a retaining wall there, but just generically speaking, from the right of way back to our building. Because
Which is shown, right?
it is shown there, but it's generically shown there. It's not detailed at this point.
Right.
That again is part of what MKSK's design scope is to include. I think that the issue there is the existing sidewalk to that building is to remain. And the character of the detailing with the steps that go down to that sidewalk is theirs. And it's how we integrate in next to that is the design kind of effort at this point. So the purpose of this is really to get some feedback, to get some comments. I mean, obviously this is intended to be very interactive. I know this is still a moving, a work in progress, so to speak, but it's moving consistently in the direction that we've been discussing. And I'd like to make sure we stay on that path.
We did change the color of the stair tower.
I see.
Yeah,
Commissioner Berardi.
the green. I mean, I'm struggling with that one a little bit.
You don't like it?
Yeah.
What would you prefer?
Well, my mind was always black to go along with the rest of the building. I think the black accents well with the brick. There were are the old metal fire escape stairs that are wrought iron that are painted black on the back of that building. Those are ones obviously we want to take off, but my mind was going that way originally.
So all of the green now you would think of as black?
No.
Okay.
We're talking about the
The stair
new
tower.
exit stairs on
So
the west side of the staircase.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that
Thank you.
there, sorry.
Well, we got a lot of glass and we're having an internal debate. My boss wants that green and John wants that bronze or black.
Yeah, or gunmetal gray, something darker like that, that goes along well with the brick. The windows are intended to be black as well. So I just feel that is the right thing to do. I don't feel that it's necessary to connect the stair tower addition to the new building. I think those two kind of stand on their own. And so that's the debate. It can be white, you could go to that level as well. I And the other thing, don't forget, is the horizontal piece to the very bottom, to the right of the stair tower. That's the old loading dock right now. So we're gonna open that up and put a new roof on it and, make it a functional space. So that is also part of what I'll consider new, even though that part is a renovated part compared to the stair towers, which is new. But the idea is that vertical piece and the horizontal piece to the right at the ground floor level go together. And that's also what leads me to, the darker versus doing the stair tower green.
So I think, yeah, like the black is kind of an accent color. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Versus the green is more of the overall massing color. So to me, the stair tower reads as more of an accent piece, and at least in this rendering.
Yeah, I think it's more compatible with the word. Agree.
I agree. Well, you can see it in you have an elevation of that side. Can you show us the full elevation? It's a drawing. Keep going. One more. That one. So he's saying he'd like it to echo the building on the left, and you're saying you want it to disappear.
Ideally, I think the black is more appropriate for that architectural element and the horizontal piece going. Again, whether it's black or a dark gunmetal gray, something of that character, but not the green in my mind. Sorry.
I got a big ego.
Yeah.
Do we have questions or feedback?
And the other thing, just to point out while we're looking at
Okay, I'm
that,
sorry.
What's that?
I just wanted to point out while we're looking at this elevation, Jim made a comment about the height of the existing building, that piece that sticks up there in the middle.
Right.
That's actually the stair tower access from the original building. So it's roof access via the original stairs.
And that's the other variance he was talking about.
Yeah, technically, I don't know if you consider that roof, or I don't know what the correct terminology for that would be, but it is part of the original building.
Right, and we've thrown that in just because we can't get clear definition from the city as to how they're gonna measure the building.
Yeah,
So we figure it's better to be safe than sorry.
Right.
I think that's smart. Anything else you'd like to highlight for us?
Those are the main features. Also MKSK is working on that ground level patio space between the two buildings there. It's which would be part of the exterior amenity space for the residents. What we're currently working on is just further developing the details of the building. We've got the structural engineer engaged at this point, and we're working on basically everything from that second floor down and into the warehouse space, because that's what's most critical in terms of structural coordination. There's some foundation issues there that we got to deal with. And there's an old basement in the north or southwest corner of the building that we're trying to figure out what to do with. And so we're just kind of getting into the guts of the building at this point. But again, on the new building, we're actually all of this. I want to make sure that we are engaged in the conversation and we keep going in the right direction.
And on the new building on the left, the fenestration and balconies are the same as on the front?
Similar.
What's different?
Well, I guess really not a whole lot, because whatever we do from a framing perspective, we're going to frame them the same way. Unless there's a difference with the guardrail.
The balconies are inside recessed, right? You said they were gonna do glass across the front, they don't come out.
We have a little bit of both. We have some that are fully recessed and we have some that are
On that facade?
no, these are like 3 feet recessed, 2 feet out.
Okay, that's why I got that.
The
right.
recessed ones are more on the east side of the building because that's where we don't want to create an issue there.
So you recess them more here?
Yeah, because technically the
they flush?
face of the building is the property line. So
Are they
really
flush with the
can't-
building then here?
I'm sorry?
They're flush with the property line building here?
You can basically call them flush, other than, the detail in terms of how the handrail works out. It might be 6 inches or a foot or something, but
I think people are pregnant with questions if you are finished.
yeah,
Okay.
please.
Who would like to start?
Joseph.
Just out of curiosity, the projecting balconies, what's on the underside? Are you finishing that or can you leave that exposed?
Well, I think that's to be determined. Ideally, especially on this side, they'd be enclosed, some sort of finished material. I think that, in my mind, kind of goes hand in hand with how we are going to frame this. Because if we end up using some sort of steel type assembly, which gets to be a little bit more, but on this side, it might be applicable. We can create that thinner, then you have a hard deck surface, you don't have the decking material you gotta deal with. So I think,
They're more likely than not, they're gonna be finished on the bottom end. We've given John and his team specific instructions. Well, I specifically gave instructions. I want these things to be as light, and I didn't want them to be bulky at all. That's why we're really trying to thin that down, and that's why we're going with glass. We're doing everything we can to just make these look like clunky ornaments on that building.
trying to stay away from the cruise ship look.
Yeah.
Other questions?
I think some feedback would be on your rendered images, especially, it seems like there's kind of a lot of finishes. That being said, I think you've done good work with like reduce the noise of the building. I think that's come a long way. But I think there's the black of the railings, there's the black of the window system, but there's also what appears to be like gunmetal gray, or maybe it's bronze of the red metal near the window systems. And then the windows in the brick are rendered white in this image. There's kind of a lot going on. There probably needs to be a reduction, or at least when you present it to us after the conceptual stage, an argument for maybe the green has one set of finishes and the brick has another set of finishes, that they work well together, but they're two different animals and they're two different logics. Yeah, it's all one logic. Either way, I'm sure you're gonna get there.
We are getting there, and again, this is in progress. We originally our goal was to just architecturally illustrate the east facade, but then we started to end up working on the north facade at the same time because we wanted to get it more complete prior to the deadline.
Yeah.
But you can also see how that northern side, the windows are missing on the balconies.
Yeah. Kind of like the whole way. But also the CMU, I'm not opposed to it, but it is a little weird here where it directly abuts the existing brick.
I think we're thinking more of like a honed cast stone
Okay.
type thing,
What are you talking about?
The garage.
Where the garage door openings are.
but not like a masonry block, but an architectural masonry material. Because that brick is really rough, so something with a smoother texture, more of a honed product, I think would be more appropriate.
Yeah. And then what do you think the green stuff is?
Material wise,
Yeah.
one of two things, we're looking at an architectural metal panel, it would be the first choice, obviously there's an expense with that. And there's a couple different kind of hardy-like material, hardy is certainly an option, but there's other manufacturers that are similar that make products. And as far as the green, the green is close, but once you start to highlight this, with lighting in the model, it starts to change, so we got to play with that. I actually have a physical sample I forgot to bring along with me, I will next time. But it was pretty darn close to the green that's on the east side of the building, even though it is highlighted there with sunlight. It does have a tint of gray in it, in the green. So I would kind of put it on an industrial level of green.
We did receive some comment.
I forgot about that. What did the comment say?
The comment referred to a building called the Fitzroy in New York. That
Oh,
has
the
like
what?
the Fitzroy
Okay,
has a green ceramic.
yeah, they wanted green ceramic. You could get the Rookwood pottery to do that for you.
Green ceramic.
Oh, that would be really cost effective
Oh,
and not a maintenance problem at all.
Right.
You received just a public comment?
Yeah, so it's just an email.
And we told them they could join us for the commission meeting if they wish to,
Yes,
and their response was,
they did not respond.
okay.
Well, they seem, whatever their comment was, the green seemed appropriate to them, it's just the material.
correct.
Might not
I
be
think that was the intent.
Is that
accessible.
the way you interpreted it? I don't remember it well enough.
Yes, they were in support in general of the concept.
I think in presenting the material that you want to put forward, it'd be really helpful to have some precedent images of what that material looks like on the building, if available, just so we can understand
great
like,
idea.
what's real life lighting and context.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I think in the next iteration, that would be helpful.
Other global comments, Daniel, or?
I really like comments about the lighting up maybe not as like a cruise ship, but maybe lighting up the corner of the building. It's a really nice idea, especially a two-story space. And really creating something out of the corner where that has been for so long forgotten, I think is a really nice idea. I'm very supportive of that.
How do you feel about the changes in this facade?
Good. I just, my mind or my eye keeps going to the shades now that were vertical that went over, but I'm just looking at the finish of them. Wondering how that's gonna resolve. Is it gray? Is it bronze? Yeah,
We're working through those as well.
yeah.
But I think the shade concept is the right direction to go.
I think it'll wear better too, by not having it go down to the ground.
Yeah, it's going to get, sun's going to beat the hell out of that, so.
Matt, do you have any questions?
I think on your corner entry, and I know you're still developing this, but, key things are reducing headlight glare coming out of the garage. So if you flip around. So like, we have some vertical windows in the garage there. I'm not sure if
You made that comment before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just that sort of level of walking us through your thinking and how you're creating pedestrian space and buffering the building adjacent and trying to minimize any glare issues, I think is really important. And how you're addressing the streetscape there as well is super critical because we're losing a really nice big tree there. So how you start to address that in your site planning is an important thing to know. Like I'm guessing you're probably not going to have a continuous paved tree lawn along that entire surface. You might, obviously we have a curb cut, but aside from that, how you handle that is a question.
I think to your point, Matt, it might be nice, this image is nice, it's very nice to understand the vastness of the building.
Right.
But I think a rendered image of the street, from a street view, of this location would be really helpful.
That's what the MKS.
I understand that it's in development. Yeah, because I'm guessing this view might not be as great when you start to put vegetation on the drawing, so you might be wanting to show more from the street level view how that plaza feels from multiple angles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, this is very much a bird's eye view, looking at you overall.
Right.
Yeah.
And, again, just same kind of comments about what does that street feel like, or there's parallel parking. I think that we have a couple spaces at least there, I believe.
I think they're south. There's a loading
Right.
zone out in front of the building, which is to our advantage, truthfully. But there's that south of the curb cut, is no parking. The parking's to the north.
Okay.
And I think with the MKSK guys, you need to just talk about how to showcase the historic building, not obscure it. So be careful not to have so much vegetation in front of the factory warehouse stuff that.
We actually had trees in there
Uh-huh.
and we took them off.
Pull them back, yeah. I don't think you have to take them
Because they're
away,
high
just,
too much.
just pull it back to point to, it's highlighting the historic dimensions. Because in this picture, even to me, it almost gets lost. I have a positive reaction to your evolution. Feels like it's just getting more sophisticated to me in a good way. But I am the neophyte at the table, so. Cool.
Well, from a schedule standpoint, I think it'd probably be good if we were able to come back in one more time with the next generation, so to speak.
And all the stuff that was missing that we
Yeah.
have today.
And the
So
landscape
it's going to
stuff.
articulate for you in addition to the additions we put together today, so that we're clear for next time.
Yeah, so we'd like to pull all of that stuff together, and I don't want to say have a final package, but have it 90% at that point, so that then we could come back with any final comments and ask for basically a final approval.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back and look at the south side against the original pictures. I can do that by myself. I just don't have a mental model in my head to understand. I remember we had architectural, sort of a skeleton almost on the outside before.
Mhm.
I just want to look at that. I liked it, so I'll look at that and see, but I'm comfortable with this.
Mhm. This does,
Yeah.
in our opinion, I feel it cleans the design up.
It's definitely cleaner.
Are the windows on the warehouse piece? Are those those are a different color than what are on so I'm just asking that question if the frames are white or, And that's a question for just a,
It's part of the process.
okay,
We,
yeah.
we just didn't get everything buttoned up.
Understood, yeah.
We literally said, okay, it's 2:00, you gotta
Do you
submit.
think they could be done?
I think we just want to talk about that at some point, yeah.
I think
Should,
currently white right now in the warehouse portion, right?
They're a dirty white, yes.
They're, we need maintained and painted, yeah.
But yeah, I think currently they're painted white with light lights, but you
the
know,
mullions are?
Yeah.
Where, the existing.
Oh, down, I was looking at the
Yeah.
backward,
Yeah.
it's like,
No, no, no.
it must be blind,
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed if those were black windows, just to keep some continuity.
Of course, historic photography would help make the case for
Yeah.
whichever color.
Yeah, the intent is that we refurbish the windows.
You're afraid of rework them and keep them, replace them. So they're just in the warehouse,
Good,
I mean, in the parking areas.
yeah, I like that. And I'm with Daniel, I'd go back to historic. I bet they were white to begin with. But I don't know for sure. Cool. Anything else we want to highlight? Any questions you guys would like to ask?
I don't, I think, we've got a lot of things to coordinate and talk about.
Are you feeling better?
Yeah, I mean, I've always felt good about the design and I enjoy this part of the process, because it is engaging and, I feel that, this process does make the product better. And I think that's the
Gracious,
intent.
gracious of you to say so.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I've even said it in print.
You got it.
One thing is, the discussions John and I have had though, and I'm really happy, especially here on this south elevation, is that, and I told John, I want this thing to be like a jewel box. I mean, I want this at night lit up, like it is very iconic. It's a great way for wayfinding. People will know how to get to Whittier Peninsula, just, hey, go to the corner where Jones Hill is, go over there, find it.
Right.
And they've done an excellent job of really lightening that up and giving us a really great space. So I'm really excited by that because I think it's really going to, and also given that it's a highly animated space with people, since it's a common attribute for the building and community space, like it's even more exciting for me. That it's not just going to be some pretty thing to look at, like my grandma's living room I was never allowed to sit in. It's actually functional.
I want to make sure you're paying the same kind of attention to the warehouse building in the back, because to me, that is the other jewel on the site.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be completely overshadowed. I want them to
Oh,
walk
no.
back and forth to each other,
Oh, no, there.
including at night.
Yeah, that south side, we
Yeah.
haven't gotten into that detailing yet, but then once that gets cleaned up, and the other thing Doug's been talking, to various different entities about is all of those wires there.
Good.
Those wires are a real mess.
The ones that are not
No,
displayed in your,
but we're definitely, the other thing too, John and I walked the buildings in, the original entry vestibule on Whittier of the tower has been forgotten over the years. And that's going to be very much an arrival space.
Good.
And it's going to be really cool.
Mhm.
Cool.
Thanks for your time.
Do you want Sophie to list what we're missing, or you're okay?
I think we're good on this one. You good, John?
We're missing a lot.
Yeah.
We know.
Well, again.
We get that you're in the process, we're supporting.
50% through the.
Yeah.
The schematic design.
Right, and also we in this context, we came here on a conceptual basis. Our previous action, we were asking for an action, so I needed a little bit more specificity for that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Take care. Good to
Appreciate
see
your
you.
time.
Let's do something.
So,
That's my name tag.
your identity?
My identity is on the floor.
That's everything.
Okay, great. Is there any new business that we need to cover, or any new business we need to cover? All right. I'll entertain a motion to dismiss, whoever wishes to make it.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, madam,
Thanks.
sir, for all your help today.
Of course.
Thank you, commissioners. Nice to have